Good evening and welcome. Today we will uncover the secret of online teaching in 1 hour. My name is Vaibhav Joshi and I'm the manager training and development at Sandy Group. I have an overall experience of 9 years in training and teaching online in corporates. Along with me, I have
Hello, I'm Bhavisha Amin. I'm the marketing head at Sakura, which is a software solution company designed to give businesses and individuals total control of their data. So, for the next 60 minutes, we'll be covering the benefits of online teaching and how to set up your virtual environment, your virtual classroom. We'll also be showing you how you can start instilling your classroom etiquette into your online classroom, as well as how to teach online. We'll also be holding a live Q&A session at the end of the webinar, but please feel free to enter and post all your questions and we'll be able to answer them as we go along and towards the end. You'll be able to post these questions on our YouTube and LinkedIn and of course Facebook channels. So Vaibhav, last time when we spoke, one of the issues that we were talking about was the idea of how online teaching has become more of the norm. So what have you uncovered about the online teaching world? What's the norm now?
That's correct, Bhavisha. Remember the days when the lockdown just started and we thought this is just temporary, this is just going to last for a month. Boy, were we wrong. The headlines have been saying that when the pandemic ends, will schools change forever? Education reforms, virtual classrooms, e-learning are the future. Online classes will change education forever. And in fact, the HRD ministry has allocated 10 lakh crore budget just for online education. They've also issued guidelines for online classes. This clearly shows that this is the new normal and this is here to stay. Now, once we've understood that this is here to stay, let us see what are the benefits of online learning for students. Well, there was a research that was done, and basis that research, it was understood that 71% of students who did online learning showed increase in confidence, 31% increase in homework completion by students, 14% increase in grades, and 17% reduction in drop fail or withdrawal rate. Well, now that we've clearly understood that there are a lot of benefits for students who are learning online, there are a lot of benefits for teachers as well. When you teach online, a few benefits that you might get is, well, time and location flexibility. Now, what is time and location flexibility? A teacher can choose to teach at any time that suits him or her, especially for working professionals and homemakers. Online teaching is a boon. Classes can be taken in evenings or on weekends, and there is no time wastage. Unlike in a traditional classroom where a teacher has to travel all the way to the coaching center or the institute or the school, here the teacher can simply take the classes from the convenience of his or her home. Another benefit of teaching online is, well, you get more teaching opportunities. And online, an education medium without any time and location constraints obviously paves way for significantly more opportunities for teachers as compared to traditional classroom teaching. Well, we've got a lot of talent in India. What's stopping us from teaching in university in London or Singapore? Well, the geographical locations that we are in right now restrict us from doing that. But when teaching is done online, well, that is taken away. Now there are no hurdles. Third benefit of online teaching is administration. Well, online teaching also helps in better administration. One can clearly imagine the administrative challenges to a teacher in a traditional classroom. Well, taking attendance, keeping a track of the students, um, those are very difficult. When you do it online, the administrative overhead while improving The administrative overhead is decreased, and it also improves concentration, performance of the teacher, and it avoids mismanagement. A majority of online teachers report that online teaching tools have increased their overall efficiency. This is because they are able to organize the courses better and also able to automate certain activities like periodic tests, quizzes, scoring, etc. Fourth benefit that you get by teaching online is diverse teaching experiences and easier access to information. The online medium of teaching gives a teacher an opportunity and experience to connect with students from different disciplines, backgrounds, and cultures. Online teaching thus takes the teaching experience from regional level to a national level or even an international level. It's obvious that any study resource or information in digital format is very easy to access. If you're using an application like Sums, you have a drive where you just put in your notes and the students can simply take notes from there. Unlike in a traditional classroom where you write the notes on the board and the students write them down in their books, there is no Chinese whispers here because everybody is getting the same notes. Another benefit of online teaching is student engagement. Online teachers report that online teaching incorporates more engagement between student and teacher. Unlike the interaction in a classroom of numerous students, an online medium provides them with more close one-on-one session. Also, the shy and non-participative students who are not comfortable with participating in classroom discussions are obviously more likely to participate in an online class. Another benefit of online teaching is increased student learning. Online teachers often report that students usually perform better and also show more participation in discussion during online courses. We have already seen in our previous slides that the performance of the students increase when they're learning online. And the last benefit obviously is professional satisfaction, wherein it's the satisfaction of doing a job well. So these are the benefits of online learning. Now that we've understood that there are a lot of benefits of online teaching as well as learning, clearly there is a need to set up a virtual classroom or a virtual environment, right, Bhavisha?
Yeah, that's right. So when you're teaching or working from home and teaching in the home environment, the rules are completely different. One of the fundamental differences between traditional teaching and online teaching is the environment itself. One of the things that teachers have to realize and recognize is that we're no longer in the classroom. And in order to inject back some of that normality, there has to be a new style of teaching. And that includes bringing the familiar into the unfamiliar surroundings. So, one of the key issues that I will be addressing today in this session is how to actually set up this virtual environment for yourself. So, throughout the course and throughout, speaking to a lot of teachers out there and a lot of students, um, doing a little bit of background research has certainly helped me formalize a nice, simple checklist that all teaching professionals can incorporate and introduce in order to gain effective online teaching. I think one of the most important aspects that I've covered in this essential checklist is in order is to actually set up your dedicated workspace. It's important to establish your own workspace. Have a dedicated room or a space where you will be away from distractions such as televisions, family members, and even pets. Keep this dedicated space to your working environment only. Now, I know most of you who are watching us must be thinking that it can be actually difficult to set this dedicated space that I'm talking about, especially if you live in a home which is filled with other family members or perhaps even friends. Or perhaps you might even be living in an area where you don't have enough room. Well, the advice that I always give is use your bedroom as your dedicated space and corner off that room to create a nice little desktop create a nice little working space in order for you to be able to feel like you have found your own professional workspace. Because let's face it, we don't know how long this online teaching is going to last. And what I can say from the trends that we're seeing on the market, schools might be opening soon, but I highly doubt you'll have full capacity classrooms available in the traditional classroom settings. So it's important to actually realize that online teaching is going to be a new mixture that's going to be added into your forte. Once you've established your dedicated space, it's always important to set up the scene. Set the scene with a backdrop. Put some time and some effort into creating a backdrop that is suitable to your school. Perhaps introduce an institute's logo, or perhaps even some elements that can indicate what subject you will be teaching. If you're an arts and crafts person, it's important for you to be able to get your hands involved and actually start building a nice backdrop that can actually showcase what you're going to be teaching. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there who might not be into doing arts and crafts, and that's okay, because there are various video conferencing or software tools out there that can help you develop virtual backgrounds. But it's important to actually set up a background, because as educators, you are setting the scene for students. So even though your students are connecting with you from home, the moment they connect with you and the moment they see a backdrop, they'll be reminded of the fact that they're entering into a formal environment, an environment for them, which is learning. Once, of course, you've got your dedicated space and your backdrop, it's important for you to actually have the right equipment. So set up a good laptop, have a good laptop or a computer that you can use to hold your classes. Now, I always say it's nice to have a big screen, and that's because it will help you as the teacher identify your students. You'll be able to see your students' reactions to what you're saying and be able to judge and assess by their body language whether they've understood what you've taught. The other important aspect to have is a webcam. Now, I know a lot of equipment comes with a pre-webcam installed, but if you're a teacher who is involved in arts, or perhaps dance, or perhaps even home economics, where it is important for you to be able to showcase your movements or showcase what you're doing properly, then it's important to actually invest in a detachable webcam. That way you have the freedom and you have the flexibility to adjust the angles according to your needs and according to your settings. Once, of course, you've got your environment, your laptop, your webcam, I think it's important for a lot of teachers to start thinking about the headset. Now, from the research that I had conducted simply by speaking to some students here in the UK, and of course some students in Mumbai, in India, one of the things that I had uncovered was that the majority of students left their online classes because they couldn't hear their teachers. Their teachers didn't have the right headset or microphone equipment in order for them to be able to communicate to their students. So it is really important that you find the right headset where you can simply be able to hear your students and, of course, communicate to your students. I prefer a headset which has an attached microphone, just an extended microphone, because that will help you really announce what you're going to say and let your students hear you clearly. And if, of course, you need your hands to be able to show them things, then you're not fiddling around with multiple things in order for you to teach online. Now, of course, the main area and pain point that we're all going through at this moment in time is secure and reliable internet connections. But having good internet connections comes with the fact that a lot of teachers now or educators now need to start thinking about looking for reliable service providers. And there are a lot of service providers out there now who are providing the best packages that you could possibly enroll onto. So if you are somebody who frequently has a lot of internet disruptions, internet disconnections, then start looking for a suitable provider, and there'll be plenty of opportunities and offers available for you to jump onto. Of course, once you've got all the other aspects sorted, the next aspect is, of course, using the right sort of software. Now, I know a lot of teachers right now are using Zoom or Microsoft Teams or even Skype to conduct their classes, and of course, Google Meet. But one of the most important things to realize is that these pieces of softwares are actually not designed to hold or conduct classes, especially online classes. So it's really important for you to invest, or for your school to invest, in a software that will enable you to actually fulfill the teaching needs that you require. And most of your teaching needs would be something to do with simply displaying your work to the students. You might want to even have a software which enables you to communicate with the students by allowing them to draw on your board. That way you can check their understanding and whether they have actually understood what you have communicated to them properly. There are lots of facilities out there that cater to this virtual online teaching softwares such as Sums, which is one of our sponsors for this webinar, that can give the students and the teachers the entire classroom experience that they would have had in a traditional environment onto the virtual environment. Of course, once you've set up all your technology and you've set up your environment, the key thing to actually start focusing on is testing your technology. So before you start your classes, always test your tech. Make sure that you test it with family and friends, because of course they are the best critics you could have. Another piece of advice that I've added onto this essential checklist is keeping your devices charged. Now, it might sound silly, or it might even sound very simple, but it's actually one that we quite often forget, which is quite ironic considering we're always on our mobiles and we're always on our laptops and our computers to stay connected. But research, and of course from personal experiences, I've discovered that sometimes these tiny things that we're so used to having can easily be forgotten. But one thing I would say is always set up a reminder for yourself to keep your laptops fully charged, and of course your mobile phones fully charged, because you never know what's going to happen anywhere. And it's always important to be able to have those two sets of communication tools that will help you instantly communicate to your students if you have to postpone the class, or if you have a connection or a disruption problem, so they don't just hang around wondering if their teacher has disappeared or not. So once you've actually set up your virtual environment, it's quite important to actually start thinking about classroom etiquettes. And
Absolutely. Classroom etiquette is very important. You can't use the same discipline that you used to use in your traditional classroom. So your etiquettes for online education must be different, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It has to be, because whilst you're teaching online, you've got to realize that you're actually still holding proper traditional classes. It's just the only difference is now you're streaming them through a webcam or through video. So there are lots of do's and don'ts that you can instill into your virtual environment, which will help your students get into the right set of mind that they have come into this online class to learn, and they must treat it like a traditional classroom. I think as educators, you have the right to be able to instill these etiquettes. And one thing I would strongly advise any educators who have joined us today is, if you have trouble maintaining the right sort of standards in your classroom, if you are a teacher who is struggling to have students come back to the normal discipline that they would have had prior to the lockdown or prior to COVID, then it's time now to actually start instilling these standards back in place that you would expect. So I've created a quick set of do's and don'ts that you can start taking away and actually implementing with your students. And of course, communicating them to the parents so the parents can help you instill the discipline back. One of the things that you can start instructing and setting as a rule that you will not accept any students who do not turn up to your class on time. That way you've already set a standard that you'll only allow students to enter into your classroom if they turn up on time. So expect your students to be on time and make it very clear to both the parents and the students that this is an act of discipline. On top of that, once your students have actually entered into your classroom, make sure that the students remain on mute, unless of course they want to speak. Now, I know it can be quite hard to maintain that, so there are some softwares out there, especially some that can actually help you govern whose microphone is kept on and whose microphone is switched on, and whose microphone is muted. Just as much as you have the freedom and you're instilling and asking your students to keep their microphones on mute and only unmuting them when they're talking, I think it is important for you as educators to also have a rule installed or in place to say that you want your students to turn on their cameras. And the reason why you'd want that is simply because you want to be able to see whether they've understood what you've communicated, whether they're paying attention to the class, and whether they're actually focused in what you're teaching them and whether they're actually engaged in what you're teaching them. So it's important for you to actually set the ground rule that turn on your cameras whenever you come into my class. And of course, I know there might be some parents who might not like this idea because out of fear of privacy and child privacy concerns, but that's okay because of course there are solutions out there that can actually help teachers have a camera on for the students to see, so teachers can see students only and students can see teachers, but no students can see each other. So that way you've got everybody engaged, but just in a slightly unusual way. Of course, one of the other things to instill, and this is something that is actually being practiced in the UK here, is when classes start online, they make it a point, a lot of teachers make it a point to say you must attend my class wearing your uniform. Now, I know in India, there might be some schools that don't actually have a uniform in place, but then there are a set of schools which do. And if, of course, you're teaching in a class or in a school that doesn't have uniforms, then that's fine. What you can do is you can simply say, come to my classroom dressed in smart casual attire. That way you are preventing students from having the freedom to come into your classroom dressed in their pajamas or their bedtime clothes, because I know that that is an instance that seems to be happening quite a lot. And that just makes you as educators just feel as though your students are not paying attention to you or are not even bothered about education. And it is, of course, your role to be able to get them into that discipline. So it's important to set these sorts of ground rules in place. Of course, just as much as we put emphasis on you, the educator, having a dedicated space to be able to teach online, as educators yourself, you also have the ability to ask your students to connect with your classes from a dedicated workspace, which is quiet and free from any sort of distractions. So set these up as ground rules. And one of the most important things that you can also start implementing and instilling as a ground rule is advising your students not to start abusing the chat facilities that are widely available on these online softwares and start disrupting the classes by simply talking to other students. But of course, there are softwares out there that again can help you control and maintain this sort of discipline in place. Now, I've been rambling on about setting in some classroom etiquettes, but hopefully, this is some key takeaways that you can actually start taking away and implementing and actually enhancing your overall classroom experience. But of course, one of the most important things is that once you've set all this foundation work, how do you actually teach online? Now, I'm not an expert in how to actually teach online, but I know my colleague Vaibhav has better understanding and insights into that. So Vaibhav, I'm handing it to you. Do we have Vaibhav there? I think we're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty. Hello, is Vaibhav there? Sorry about that. I believe we've got a bit of technical difficulties here, but I think I'm going to be getting Vaibhav on the line soon. But if you have any questions so far, please feel free to send your questions through our chat box and we can have a look at them now. So we don't have any questions as of now. Okay, no problem. So I think we've got Vaibhav back online.
Hi, Bhavisha. I think your tips of setting up the virtual classroom were almost like a prophecy because my laptop stopped working.
So even we need to make sure that our technic, technical equipment is tested properly.
Absolutely. Before we move on with the next section, where I show you the tips and tricks of how to actually do the online teaching, I would like to request. I would like to apologize to our viewers for the technical difficulties that I faced just now. And also, I'd like to request them to ask questions because at the end of the session, we're going to answer these questions. Um, Moving on, yes. We need to reprogram the way we do our online education because it's definitely different than traditional classroom learning. So here are some tricks and tips on how to do online teaching. Now, the first tip is basically stick to schedules and avoid rescheduling. Now, why do you want to do that? Now, online teaching is not just new for the teachers, but also for the students. You need to set up culture and discipline whilst they are attending online learning. When you keep canceling your classes and when you keep rescheduling your classes, what happens is basically they lose interest and they feel that this is not a regular thing. So to avoid that and to stop them from becoming complacent, you got to make sure that your schedules are right on time and your classes are not cancelled. Another thing that you really really have to do is to keep the classes interactive. One way to do that is make sure that before you start the class you prepare a set of questions that you will ask during the classes. Keep your classes bite sized and every 5 to 7 minutes ask a question to one person from the class. This way, they make sure that they are paying attention because they know that you will be asking a question. And secondly, what happens is the class also becomes interactive because there is a discussion. One very good way of doing this is that at the start of the class you tell them that all your questions will be answered at the end of the session. So hold the doubt solving session at the end of the class, and one way to do that is using the parking lot methodology. So you tell them that at the end of the session, we will be asking questions. And during the session, if you have a question, just post it on the comments box. We'll use the comments box as a parking lot for your doubts, and we'll answer them at the end of the session. This encourages students to ask questions. Always make sure that all of those questions are answered at the end of the session so that nobody gets disappointed and demotivated to ask the question. Just in case you do not have an answer for a question right now, tell them that we'll cover that in the next session and make sure it is answered in the next session. Another way of doing online teaching is, now since you're using systems and laptops and mobile phones, use uh, presentations, PowerPoint presentations, and show videos. Now, one problem that that teachers face when they show videos is that when you go on you when you share your screen, the students can see your particular screen and they can look at your personal data. One, secondly, they also get distracted. One thing that some helps you is that there is a system where you just simply enter the URL of the video that you want to share. So you will be directly showing the video and nothing else. This way the students don't get distracted. Another very important tip is that you got to give out assignments at the end of the session. This way what happens is the students are paying attention throughout the session because they know that an assignment is going to come. Secondly, watching an online class is kind of like watching a web series or a movie. You watch the movie and you forget about it. So you got to force them to reflect about the session after the session is over. So one way to do that is give out assignments. While they are doing the assignments, they might realize that okay, they don't know an answer of a particular question. Maybe they got disconnected, or maybe they were facing internet issues. So in sums, you have an option where the student can go back and look at the recording of the session that was already taken. And this way, they can go through the sessions again and again just to make sure that they've understood everything completely. And the most important thing, obviously, is to use an appropriate app or software. You can't be using softwares like Sums and Google Teams and all that. I know that they are free, but they are not designed to do online education. A lot many teachers, when we were doing research for this webinar, told us that they end up doing 12-hour shifts, or they end up working more at home than they used to in schools, and that's because they are not using the correct apps. Digitization and automation is supposed to help teachers, reduce their workload. So it's very important that you invest a little bit and buy an appropriate app. It's our responsibility to make sure that our students understand and there is perfect knowledge transfer for them. So that's why you need to use apps which are designed for education. And these are some tips and tricks on how to do online teaching. At this point of time, I'd like to invite our sponsor, the director of SUMS, Mr. Himanshu Modi.
Hello. Good evening. Hi. Hi,
Hi,
Madhav.
Himanshu.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Himanshu, before we answer the questions that have been posted, and it looks like we have a lot of questions posted on YouTube, Facebook, and our own website. Before we do
Hmm.
that, can you quickly take us through the reason why you invented an app like that, and the reason why this app is working so well amongst the teaching community?
So this application we have developed for teaching community. So the thought process when we started the SUMS application was to keep students, teachers, and the admin of the students, like principal or the trustee, to come into one platform, and whatever the communications are happening, it's a transparent, and I want to bring the transparency in the schools. So whatever the teachers teaches in the school, so that transparency should be there to the parents. Like in when we are studying in the school, we know that whatever the teachers teaching, or in my students or my child also, so they are coming from the school, and we ask what teacher teach today. So they will say in 5 minutes, okay, so this is their taught, or whatever they say. In 5 minutes, they give us the update. But that they spend 6 hours in the schools, and each and every minute detail they will not going to tell us. Okay, and as a school owner, also principals are also facing issue that what are the teachers are teaching, whether they are running on time, or whether they are teaching fast or slow. Okay, so that all type of problems are also there. So what we have done here, we have created this system in such a way that everybody is aware what is going on. Okay, and we also have created now for in the pandemic situation, we have come out with the e-class module, in which teachers can teach online using SUMS application. And this module we have developed specially for the education sector, in which we have given us the special features like we have a whiteboard features. We have a features in which students can be muted. Students can't see each other. That feature is also there. And when they start camera, so it's not like that, okay, everybody can see each other. It's not like that. Teachers can see each other, but student can't see each other. That feature is also there. They can't talk publicly. So as a teacher, you can block students. They are not able to talk each other. They can talk to the teacher directly. Okay, and if suppose student asking some question at that time, student asking the question at that time, that teacher is aware that which student asking which question. So suppose in this type of scenario, some students are afraid, or some have some that. Suppose I ask some questions, and everybody might have laugh, but here they have a privacy. So teachers will not disclose who is asked this question, but that privacy will be there. in our sums application. So this is how we provide features, and that's how I come out with these applications. So this is about sums applications. Vaibhav. Vaibhav? Oh,
So
Bhavish?
I think I think
Yeah.
Vaibhav's having some technical issues today.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of what you were saying with regards to sums. You had said that teachers have the power when they come onto your application to be able to mute students and
Yes.
also be able to protect the students' privacy. So if parents, for example, are worried about child safety issues that are currently occurring, then
Right.
you've covered that because the teachers will be able to um, control, I guess, whether
Yes.
students can see each other and, of course, whether they can see the other students or not.
Right.
Right. So that's actually really important. And I think a lot of parents and teachers, of course, are probably faced with those issues on an ongoing basis.
Yes.
One of the other things that you had mentioned is that you will, SUMS also provides a whiteboard facility. So
Yes.
how interactive is that whiteboard facility?
Okay, so in the whiteboard, what we have provided options, teachers can write anything, teachers can upload presentations, whatever the presentations they create, and we also added the polling facility. So, for example, when as a teacher, I'm explaining some topics, and then I can ask some questions to the students also. Okay, and when I ask the questions, I as a teacher, I know that which student is giving what answer. Okay, but other students can see, okay, so how many students have given answer A, answer B, or answer C. Okay, so this is how we have provided the polling system in the whiteboard. We also provided options that teachers can mark, means they can draw anything, they can draw circles, rectangle, or they can write anything, scribble anything. So this is how we have provided whiteboard features.
And how easy is it for students or even teachers to use this whiteboard facility?
It's quite simple because that it's like what we have did here. We have presented whiteboard by default visible, and on
Mhm.
right side we have given them the tool. So easily, means I can click on that tool. I can see pen, circles, triangles, and other options are available. Text area also. So I can write anything if I want to write. So that all options are available. So when select, you can select the tool and you can write anything if you want to write. So it's very easy because right now in the sums application, like teachers who as like they doesn't know how to use computer, but they are able to use our application. So it's why.
Perfect. Perfect, because I think a lot of people, a lot of our viewers, might be wondering, I've never really used a computer in my life, and now I have to use a computer. So how am I now going to be using a software that can actually help me educate and deliver the education that the students deserve?
Yes.
So I think we've got Vaibhav back on line. Vaibhav, are you back there?
I think still he is facing some issue today. I don't know why,
Oh,
but
I no problem. So I think we've got some questions that our audience has asked. Could we show them? So
yes.
we've got a question by Divya, and she's asking, can we have a report for how many lectures are done per subject? So I think, Himanshu, this is specifically aimed at sums. Does sums
Yes.
provide that sort of functionality?
Yes, so yeah, so we have a reports. You can in the system you can plan lectures because see people are right now using Zoom and Google Meet, other applications. What they do, schools they give the link before 5 minutes to start the lectures. But here you can plan lectures monthly or even weekly if you want to, and whatever the lectures are done, you can see that previous lecture as well as future lecture or the today's lectures by default. Okay, and you can see filter the data by subject wise, date wise, so that you can do. And by default in sums we have a recording features. So whatever the lectures teachers are teaching, by default we record, and that recording is available for the students as a previous lecture. So if students are failed to join or because of some reason, internet issue or any reason, because nowadays students are facing issue because of internet or computer or laptop issue. Like today we face the issue saying the Vaibhav is not able to join because some technical issues might happen.
Exactly.
So in
Yeah.
this type of situation, they have a recording available, so they can view the recording of the lectures and anytime. So it's good that they are not missing anything. So like for example, in the schools, if the students are not visiting the schools, they're losing whatever the teachers teaching. But here, this online
Hmm.
platform helps them, because if they missed because of any reason like technical issue or health issue or any reasons, now they can view the recording. Even they attend the lecture and now if they want to recap, they can see the recording and they can learn. So this is how it's giving us the learning better way. And that's the reason we think that online learning is the better. Yes, I know it's difficult, but it helps students.
You mentioned that with this recording, so each class automatically gets recorded. Now, how easy is it for teachers to be able to transfer that recording across? Or is it already inside the application?
So it's inside the application. So it's a good part that because we want to maintain the privacy. So what we
Hmm.
have did, not allowed user to share or copy video, whatever the videos are there. So we have not allowed them to share the video outside of the SUMS application. So teachers and
Okay.
students will view the recorded videos inside the SUMS application only. And as a school, they can control students by devices that features we have added. So now that students can view in the single device only. So if their multiple devices are working, so then automatically they will log out from the previous device.
So one of our viewers has also asked, apart from being able to record these videos, are we able to share them with other people, or is it
No,
just the students?
just students. So it's only available for the students. They won't able to share or copy to other. Means they are not able to share to the other people. No.
Okay. Do we have any more questions from our viewers? Ah, we do. Can the homework be checked online? I think that's a lot of pain points and struggles that the teachers are experiencing, and we've certainly heard that when we've been doing our research. So, how does SUMS accommodate to this then?
Okay. So we have option. We have provided options because now everything is online. So we have added the features that students can upload homework online. They can take photograph using the SUMS application, whatever they wrote in the sheets, and they can take
Hmm.
photograph. Teachers can view online in the images area, and they can check everything through the online media. So we have an option that teachers can and view homework online. So that module is available.
Is there a module or a functionality where teachers can simply create the homework online and the students get to take it online? Because a lot of
Yes,
paperwork can, fly around and be
yes,
thrown away. Does this help with organizing homework?
yes. Because see, it's a good thing that when you do this type of system, when you use this type of system, so see, in the traditional way, whatever the student writes in their books, is there in the book. Okay, and that book might be sometimes what happened that my son lost his book and now he doesn't means we can't see the whatever work he has did, but
Hmm.
if now scenario is changed, everybody is uploading homework online, so now it's a digital world. Now you know that digital world has a copies, so you can see whatever the data you have generated in the online version of the copy. So, which is the good part right now, which I'm right now. That's the reason we have added this type of features, which is help students also. If they are right now outside, for example, they went outside and they lost this. For example, they missed the book to be get with them. Okay, but on the online platform, because see everybody carries mobile, so on the mobile they
Hmm.
can homework, they can see the homework, and they can, if you want to work on that homework, they can do that.
Okay, so you also provide a facility where they can actually take the homework directly online.
Online, yes. They can see, they can download the homework files. So because teachers can upload whatever the homeworks they want to upload, documented format, they can upload in the PDF format, and then student can write and then re-upload also.
So I know, Sums has been around for quite a few years. What's been the feedback to the existing customers that you have? What do they feel? How do they feel when they're using Sums, especially during this pandemic situation?
So Uh, see, when we started in the pandemic situation, we have started this online education module. So we have started whatever the people are using at that time, Google Meet and Zoom and other applications. So we have started with that. But then when we got the different requirements from the different schools, and then we have added different modules in a short span of time. Okay, so then they will see, because see, when you use this type of other application, you might have some requirements, but you can't, you need to work around. People are doing things work around, they take attendance manually, but here in some, everything will be taken automatically. So this is the technology. Technology is there to help you, but here they are using the technology and they are working around the technology. So when our existing customers are using some application, they are happy because they are now not spending more time on taking attendance, uploading documents, distributing documents manually checking answers and questions and everything. Now they have a system where they can create the lectures, they can automatically, the student will get notified, student can join, and then when they upload the homework, the teachers will get notified and teachers can check the homework easy way. So it's reduces time. Even we have added the MCQ module where now they can start taking exams in the SUMS applications, and in which we have got the different requirement from the different schools, and that requirement, based on the requirement, we have updated our application frequently. So because everybody is now learning, online teaching is new, online examinations is new for some of the schools. They learn, they are they are used to work traditional way that we
Hmm.
are when we are. It's not like it's a bad part, but now because of this situation, change, and people are trying to change, and that's the reason we also updated our application accordingly. So our application is now upgraded in such a way that it's ready for the online work, online solutions, as well as if they are after like I don't know how long it will take, that COVID thing, but once the school will reopen, they can also use the SUMS application for the regular classes also. So our application is ready for the both type of learning, online as well as offline.
Okay, so I think a lot of our viewers would probably be wondering, online isn't, perhaps going to last long, and it's quite true. But I think what you're saying is the application supports both traditional classroom settings as well as online classroom settings. But one of the things that I particularly found interesting in what you were saying was that SUMS is more than just about classroom and holding classrooms. It's also about organizing. And I think one of our viewers was actually saying, and is particularly interested with regards to your online
Yeah.
exam module, which is how can you take online MCQ tests and how quickly do the results come out?
Okay, so first thing, you need to just enter the question bank. Okay, automatically questions paper will be generated,
Hmm.
and the student finish the MCQ exam, automatically result will be generated because it's online. So once they finish the exam, automatically that you can see that how many questions are right, how many questions are wrong, and they can see the result instantly. So this is the power
So
of.
this so students automatically get notified of the results.
Yes, instantly. Once I finish the exam, I will get see the result.
Perfect. So hopefully, Manisha, we've answered your question as to how sums can help in that situation. I'm sure you must be taking quite a few. exams with your students at this point. So I think that is actually a very useful tool, because a lot of teachers are probably preparing for exams or, just general tests with students. And now that we're teaching online, it's the case of whether they can actually um, assess the students properly. So yeah, having something like this would be really and greatly important and easy for a lot of teachers to use. So the other thing that I wanted to ask you is, so you've mentioned that the application supports both traditional settings and, of course, online settings. So some, to me, sounds like it's more than just a virtual classroom facility.
Yes.
You've already established that it can create exams. You've also established that it creates or provides a central area where you can upload all the materials. Does it also handle anything to do with, anything to do with teachers' attendance? Because I think a lot of education institutes, especially the head teachers or the headmasters, they're probably wondering, okay, I've got 50 teachers teaching, but how do I know if the teachers are actually teaching and whether the classes are coming on time? And how do I handle the situation where, if, for example, one teacher is ill, is there a way that I can quickly assign the class to somebody else?
Yes. So here in some application we have that features. So first, whatever the teachers are there, and when teachers log in, we track that login information and automatically take attendance will be taken care. In when they start the lecture, we have a facility that which topics they are going to teach. So we have a topic wise tracking also. And if suppose some teachers apply for the leave, then as a principal or an admin guy, I will get the notify and I can assign that day lectures to other teachers. And then other teachers will be automatically get notified, and whatever the lectures the teachers has planned is assigned to the new teacher. So that facility is there. And we also added new features like we have added the payment gateway features like school can receive the fees online and parents can pay fees online. So that features we have added. Then we also added the online admission features like some of the schools and colleges, they are accepting the new admissions. So we already added the new online admission features. So these different features are available, which is now added in the SUMS application to make schools' life easy, teachers' life easy, principals' life easy, and as well as students' life easy. And our aim is to make everybody's life easy.
To making everybody's life easy. That sounds like a very big mission that you're on.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if we have any more questions from our viewers. Do we have any more questions?
No questions, I think so.
No? Okay. Well, thank you, Himanshu, for your time. And thank you for sponsoring this webinar. We hope our viewers have found this session to be fruitful. I would like to once again apologize on behalf of all of us for the technical disruptions that we've had. But clearly, it just goes to show how important it is to test your tech. And I think Vaibhav has probably not listened to my rules in testing his tech, but we'll, of course, be running a few more webinars throughout the weeks, giving you teachers some insights into how to actually enhance your learning. And of course, I'm sure SUMS will be sponsoring or holding further webinars as well on the products and services. So if there's anybody who's interested and who is watching us, who's interested in SUMS, then please feel free to contact the sales teams through our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube channels, and we'll be more than willing to assist you. Thank you for your time, Himanshu, once again. And thank you to all our viewers. Please feel free to share this video across to any of the students and, of course, teachers that you are friends with. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.